This episode is sponsored by Fostering UK, one of the UK's premier fostering agencies. If you've listened to this podcast for a while, you will know that we do not promote things lightly. If we talk about it, it's because we genuinely believe in it. And this one's personal. Louise actually fosters for them. After years of difficult experiences elsewhere, particularly around poor support and lack of real therapeutic understanding for the children in her care, she transferred to Fostering UK, and they do exactly what they say they do. And that's rare in our sector. They are therapeutic foster care specialists. The support is real, the training high quality, the matching is thoughtful, and the relationships feel human, not corporate. They focus on quality, proper therapeutic training, minimal placement breakdowns, and genuinely putting carers and children and families first. So, whether you're completely new to fostering or you are an experienced carer feeling unsupported and thinking about transferring, this could be very, very, very different for you. If you'd like a personal introduction, you can email us at sarahanderson@fosterwiki.com or louise@louise-allen.com. Right, let's get into this episode.
Hello and welcome. Welcome back, everybody, to Foster Care Uncovered, episode 18. And my goodness, the people are listening. Our numbers are up, up, up. So thank you so much. So it's been the Easter holes. We weren't here last week. We took the week off. No, we're foster carers. We didn't take the week off at all. We were very busy doing other stuff. And I just want to share that if you are a foster carer of small children, I'm so sorry the weather's been awful because I remember dearly what that's like. You're just driving around, walking around parks, scooters, everything trying to amuse them. I am so sorry. And that usually falls on the mother. The mother load usually falls on the mother. But I am a foster carer now of teenagers of all ages. So they get up much, much later. And every time I go in the kitchen, I have to stand there and think, why have we been invaded by poltergeists once again? So then I had to clean it up. Then I had to do that thing you do as a foster carer is, is it worth the battle? So I go in quickly, tidy it up. I come back to work, go in, and I do it again. Every time I want to go in the bathroom or the loo, I have to clean it, pick up towels. So this is the life, the toil of a foster carer. So if you've been struggling with trying to make things happen with very little money and being exhausted by children, I'm thinking of you. Sarah, we've been there, haven't we?
We have indeed. Hello, and welcome everybody, and lovely to see you. I've got a little towel trick actually. I
Mm,
got so fed up with the towels all being taken off the rails in the bathroom. I
yeah.
it just, and like you say, I didn't want to battle about it. So we made the pronouncement. I made the pronouncement to my two that we were all going down to the shops to buy them their own towel sets. Two sets each in the color of their preference, different colors. They would be absolutely their towels and they could do exactly what they like with them. If they leave them molding in the corner, fine. But the towels in the bathroom on my rails, my nice white company towels, were absolutely off limits.
Oh, yes.
So every time I walk in the bathroom, there's all the towels all still there. It's lovely. And they had their own towels then, and they were chuffed. They got two nice bales of towels and everything. And they stuck to it all the way through, all of them, every
Wow.
single one. But it was a hilarious thing is one of the children um, gave the towels in the bathroom a nickname.
Uh-huh.
And it's always that lovely thing where you bring humor into it because it
Always.
works better. They are now called the pointless display towels. Every, ex child still member of our family, some in their 30s, say, you still got those pointless display towels up? And I go, sure have, because I've still got a husband, don't forget.
Still
Anyway,
carrying up.
moving on. What yeah, holidays. Gosh, it's a bit of an anachronism calling them holidays, isn't it?
It's
It's
a cheat,
worse.
actually.
Worse for foster carers because it's so intense. And of course,
Yeah.
especially if you've got children with ADHD or autistic, they're completely out of their routines
Yeah.
and it all goes to shit. But anyway, but then I know foster carers are really fantastic at doing stuff. But of course, it's like expensive doing stuff. Like you say,
Absolutely.
if you're not hanging out at the parks and doing those kind of things, well, you're Peppa Pig or Lego. I mean, you don't get allowances that cover that.
No, not
And a
even
day
close.
out like that can cost you £200 or £300.
Not even close.
Not even
And
close.
you're made to feel guilty if you don't create the memories.
I know. It's mad, isn't it? So anyway, I just wanted to read this. I think we'll read out some feedback we get each week. I love this one in particular. This is a foster carer from Wiltshire, and she says, I honestly can't explain how incredible it's been to hear these conversations being spoken about so openly. I had no idea what was really going on out there because we're never told or properly informed by services. It always feels like we only hear about the next but carer barbecue or some crafting event when we're supposed to be part of the professional team around the child. For me, it's been a real revelation. So many of my friends who are foster carers are talking about this podcast constantly now and sharing it. We literally find ourselves shouting at the podcast, going, yes, 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 exactly that. The other day, I had fostering friends round and we listened to an episode together, the one on mental health, and wow, it opened up this most incredible conversation afterwards. It felt like a huge relief and honestly real validation. Wow.
Can't get better than that, can
Isn't
you?
that wonderful?
I get many people contact me on my Instagram and on Facebook and on an email. And I think the main takeaway is that they feel recognized.
Mm.
We're
Yeah,
all in this together, aren't we? And there's a lot of
absolutely.
us.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so let's move on to the news. So last week, Sky published a film called Why Foster Carers Live in Fear, and they were asking if they were scapegoats for a broken system. So, I thought, because of course this journalist contacted all of us, and this was not just a couple of people this was based on. I know they opened a WhatsApp group and it went nuts. I think they had to, I don't know what's happened to it since, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of carers, as word got round, were writing on this journalist WhatsApp group. All confidential, no, not, it was all done correctly, but my goodness, it went mad. Um, I was so pleased that finally a journalist has the courage to bring this issue into the open. And this film's travelled, it's really gone viral across social media now. Not only those who have experienced allegations, of course, but those that live with that quiet, persistent fear of them.
Mm.
And we know 85% of carers say that's the case every day, looking over their shoulder. Um, I know, and he worked on it a long time. Nick Martin was the name of the researcher. He really did his due diligence. It was also great, Louise, to see Christian Harkensey. That was
Yes,
one of the main parts of the film, and we had him, didn't we, on the podcast a few
yes,
weeks
yeah.
last month, I think. If people haven't heard that, go back to the one on allegations, because Chris Harkensey says it so eloquently and calmly, and it really exposes what goes on. So, as ever, there was a sort of institutional silence, when they went to the people. I can't understand why the NSPCC were asked for comments, but because they don't know the first thing about allegations against carers. And, I think there was this sort of, oh, it doesn't often happen, the familiar implication that there's no smoke without fire. There's that kind of comments around social media.
And I just said, can I just
Mm.
interject there? That saying, no smoke without fire, we have to stop using that.
Oh,
You can
totally.
create smoke. Any of
Yeah.
us can create the smoke.
Mm.
And there may never be any fire.
Well, so
That's a
often.
real
Yeah,
dangerous thing.
yeah,
It's one of those ones that really is quite dangerous. We mustn't use in this sector.
yeah. I mean, the common goal was from the system was, basically avoidance, reassurance that everything's broadly fine, and predictably that second concern. Oh, this kind of messaging might damage recruitment. But that's a ridiculous argument
Yeah.
because the recruitment was damaged years ago,
I know
and
you can't. We
and
can't
it's
use that anymore.
no, you can't use that anymore. And that was an own goal, as we know. Um, it's this is not new. The concern's been circling around for decades and sits within a wider context where social media fundamentally reshapes perception, and it runs the world these days. So potential carers are no longer receiving information through the formal channels, or perhaps trusting it. And they're reading lived accounts, aren't they? And watching testimonies and all the rest of it. This, for me, is the whole thing about this for me is that um, the great thing about this film was here it is in the light.
Yes.
And the answer is, not more consultation in a sort of superficial thing. It's a structural equality in how decisions are made. This is about culture. And you could feel that culture coming through in the film. And there is some significant work to be done in that area, and to restore trust, morale, and confidence in the workforce. What do you think?
Well, I'm pretty sure that carers aren't watching this thinking, "Ooh, how extraordinary, how unusual." They're
Mm.
thinking, "Finally, someone said it out loud." Because
Yeah.
in fostering isn't dramatic; it's quiet, isn't it? We all hold it in. We're quiet. We're ashamed of things we haven't done. You don't wake up thinking, "Ah, today I will live in fear of allegations." You just adjust. You just
Mm.
do.
Mm.
Double thinking everything. You hesitate before you give a child a hug. You replay conversations at 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Mm.
That mind chatter, like you're preparing evidence for a court case or something that hasn't even happened. That is degrading. It's just awful. And of course, we all do that. We all do that. And then we all carry on as if it's all that reasonable stuff, isn't it? I mean, imagine saying that in any other job. Yes, I love it. I'm just quietly terrified most of the time. HR would shut the building down.
It's so true.
Wouldn't it?
I'm quietly terrified all the time.
That's no way to
Come
live.
and foster for us and be quietly terrified all the time.
But that is the
Yeah.
reality, and
Let's bring this into
you
the
see,
light. Yeah.
people know that up front now, don't they? So
Mm,
that's
mm,
probably one of the reasons people aren't coming up for recruitment unless people
mm,
like us recommend people like Fostering UK because we know
mm.
that they are different, that
Yeah.
they don't adhere to this dreadful culture.
Mm. I mean, I hate to, well, it goes on everywhere, of course. They don't. And anyone hasn't seen the film, we'll put the link in the show notes so that you can go and have a look, and do send us in our feedback, what you think. A lot of carers, of course, the frightening thing is that carers will be watching it going, yeah, yeah. Mm.
Yeah,
Others will watch it going,
did.
oh, and
Yeah,
of course, I've had that oh kind of feedback, but it's not from
yeah,
carers who have gone, oh, at last, someone said it,
yeah.
you know. Um, okay, so I've got someone for the naughty step this week.
Oh, goody, goody, goody. Who?
Croydon Council. You
Oh,
are
oh, I think
officially
I've
on Foster
seen
Care
this.
Uncovered's naughty step, along with your Director of Children's Services and your manager. I haven't got any names to name because I'm trying to be kind, but Croydon, you are
Shut up.
on the naughty step. So, what are we looking at? So, on Facebook on Monday, sorry, on LinkedIn on Monday, a care experience dual role young lady who's also an author and does a lot of campaigning put up a post saying, with a picture saying this is totally unacceptable, and I had to walk past this in Croydon shopping centre. Now it's a particular shopping centre, depends who you talk to. The carer said it's a rundown area, and it was in an open shop in a shop sort of doorway with a shop shut down, all, and the posters were pretty tatty. And but if you speak to others, a couple of the others who chimed in went, "Oh, I walked past it. I think it's terribly nice." The care experience person did say, well, that's with your privilege. I didn't walk past it feeling like that. So what was the poster? It was two posters next to each other. So all their claim of it's in context, it was two posters and focusing on one thing, and that was the money. So it's a child in a superhero's outfit with a megaphone,
Oh
shouting,
God.
shouting to carers, saying, you can get up to £930 a week, I
What?
presume, for looking after me, you know. And on the other side, it said, the same megaphone saying, council tax reimbursement. So you can see it's a really insidious placement of those adverts for a start.
Yeah.
Whether they like it or not, they know what they did. And it was, I
Yeah.
think, in next to a job centre or something, you know. Don't quote me on that, but there was something about being near a job place. So basically, this, you know, the care experience person said, I walked past this as having been in foster care myself and not had great experiences. And I walked past this with my toddler, the little child, said, and I just felt sick.
Yes.
And you probably understand why
Yes.
more than me.
Totally.
And you know, it was a really good intellectual post saying why and how we should not. And listen, nobody campaigns for proper remuneration for foster carers and me. Nobody.
No.
But you do not lead with that.
No.
No carer does this for the money, and they shouldn't. So what was said in these posts? So um, of course, then the manager chimes in from Croydon. Okay. Oh, this is just part of a wider recruitment campaign, not the whole story or intended to represent the full narrative of fostering. You know, this is we're being transparent about fees and allowances, and we're not putting a price on children. It's about removing a barrier. Some highly compassionate and skilled people cannot consider fostering without the right financial and practical support, nor should they be expected to. You know, and
This
then
is
they
the
go on,
naivety, isn't it? The
but
naivety
it's not
about
even that
PR
for me. It's
marketing.
insidious for me.
It's
That
just
they didn't
wrong.
come in with, they didn't come in with, and you'll see the director didn't either. This is why they're on the naughty step on then. They didn't come in with, oh, I'm really sorry you felt like that. That needs to come down immediately. We need to go to our market team, reassess everything. No, just defensiveness.
Our intention.
And it was very patronizing.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for your feedback. It wasn't feedback, it was a post about
Yeah.
the issue. Oh, thank you so much for your feedback. It drove me mad. Also, their other defense was our assessment process is robust and values led, and it ensures we get the right foster carers. Well, it doesn't. Go back to our Form F episode. You do not have a robust assessment system. You have a one single assessor system and panel at the end of it. We know from the statistics, 35% of care leavers in the homeless misrepresented in the homeless, prisons, NEET, they're in the mental health sector. You know, foster care is only as good as its care leavers. And frankly, you're failing them out of the park. 30% of those new carers are gone in 12 months, and those kids get bounced around the system again.
Yes.
You are not having an assessment process that is robust. It is rubbish. And if you look at my LinkedIn page, you'll see everyone's welcome to look at my LinkedIn page, and you'll see a comment I put up from a foster carer last week about children. It was just awful. Oh, these kids go down in the night and steal from the fridge, but I've soon sorted that out. I've locked the fridge.
What?
Yeah, and I've they're stealing, and but I know they need to know right from wrong, and I've told them, and it's paying off.
What?
And that's the sort of people that get through these assessments.
Can we go back to the money, Sarah? Because
Yeah.
how much did you say they quoted? 950
Yeah,
pounds
well,
a
I
week.
mean, the thing is that it was a coordinated PR thing. I'll just say what the and also the manager was going, oh, it was in Centrevale, CVA. It's not an abandoned shop in the town centre, although this is not the place to discuss the sadly declining high street.
Don't think that's really in context with the fact that they
But
chose
also
who they were.
so it was supported by a small, committed, and dedicated team and foster carer champions. I just, oh God, the whole language of it, the whole infantilization, the
They miss the point,
passive
don't they?
aggression, the gaslighting. So, your feedback is always welcome. That's how we grow and learn. I appreciate your time in responding. They
Sorry,
weren't
that's just,
feeding back, Croydon. They were making a bloody point.
oh, for goodness
It's
sake.
just, and then, um, and then he went, oh, I didn't grow. So then the director chimes in, the director of children's services at Croydon Council. I can
Right.
assure you, this is only part of what the council are doing to attract foster carers. Yes, our whole point.
Yeah,
Our whole point.
I think
The
they
attract
will.
real oh here about the real attraction lies within the fostering team who know that support and compassion is an essential requirement. And of course they've got the fostering association involved, and we all know about all of that, don't
Yeah.
we? So to me, then I argued and said, look, let's face it, that's a bit of a con. I didn't say it like that. It was much more intellectual, my response. It's a bit basic. It's a bit of a con, isn't it? It just, the up to is in tiny, tiny letters. And the £930 a week, huge. Uh, so then he said, we're completely transparent about our figures. Can I firstly say, and I'll ask you to respond on when the link he gave me. Can I just say, however, that I did a bit of research and let's have a look here. Standard payments up until very recently had increased by £210 a week to £325 per week for a child. Well, that is all so. That was in 22. That is scraping the barrel, isn't it?
Yes.
Then enhanced payments, which we know rarely ever get paid, up to £450 a week per child. No wonder they were losing carers. And so my other argument is, before I tell you about the figures, is this isn't about being kind to carers.
No.
They've promoted it on this thing as, oh, we really value our carers. If you valued them, you wouldn't wait until you were desperate and you had a desperate agenda to recruit.
Absolutely.
And they spend a fortune on private care because they've decimated the in-house carers or they can't attract them. They've now put the money up because they think, oh God, this is the only way we're going to get. But then all, of course, we're working with the Fostering Association. We've listened to them. No, you haven't.
No.
This is totally self-serving agenda. But of course, it's all about the children and the carers. No, it's not. I hate this. I hate this kind of immoral, unethical
You see,
use,
and
you know.
also, I mean, they did it here in Somerset a while ago, and of course, they put in adverts in the paper or whatever on social media saying you can earn up to £750 a week. Now, I had a head teacher knock on my door and say, "Well, I work, but my husband's at home. Is this how much he can earn a week? Because this would really help us. Because actually, head teachers and teachers don't actually earn that much at all these days." And I said, no, this is a complete joke. This is not, this is luring you in. It's that luring you into the five-star hotel and then selling you a rip tent scenario
Mm.
again, isn't it? And all it does, it makes everyone in the area look at foster carers and think, oh my goodness, you're minted.
Yeah, I know, I
We're
know.
not.
No, and
We're not.
also,
We're only doing it for the money,
I
and
know.
then we don't get anything like that. And then they throw into the thing about all the hidden agendas. Now here they did the council tax thing where you didn't have to pay, you got to pay half your council tax or whatever. That didn't last very long. It
Mm.
caused so much hate towards foster carers from other residents. No, 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 no. You got to think this carefully. And I'm really interested in how these financial structures are arranged and what they actually mean, because there's always the phrases like compliance. You
Well,
told
let me
me.
read you what they said. And
I would
also, let
love
me
to
add
hear.
as well that you're absolutely right. When a carer goes when they go through the assessment process, you
Yeah.
don't mention money
No.
because you'll be like, oh, you're not doing this for the money, you're marked down. Once they're approved, they then
Yeah.
find out what they're going to get paid, and a child's dumped on them.
Who does that? What
There's
workplace
no,
does that?
I know, there's not, you're not told up front. You're told up front you can earn up to £930 a week. But it's not until you start you realize what those figures are. Okay, let's go through them. Okay, so on balance, it looks very good. They are saying that, they'll get between 500 and 930 a week per child from
Right.
entry level. Except it's not quite like that. The maintenance fee, the child's element of it, is exactly what the government are telling them to pay. So there's nothing marvelous about that.
Yeah.
They then do have these skills fees of £325 and £450 to add on to those with different age groups. However, those skills fees are based on their in-house training stuff, which says my skills assessments. Well,
What?
how does that? You have to go through my skills. It's obviously a
Like a kind
program,
of
my skills, and you have to be
an
assessed for the
evaluation of
skills.
your skills.
Yeah, so before you get a skills fee. Now,
Judged by who?
well, and also, have you ever known those to go quickly,
No.
or you get them? You
No.
know, it's all of this is with little stars on it, and underneath you read the small print. Um, So you don't get the skills fees automatically. You have to go through my skills assessment. Well, we've had that in Devon. We had it. They tried to do it in Hampshire, but there was such an uproar they stopped doing it. But you trying to get up through the levels and the skills things is it's in the local authorities an absolute nightmare. So let's have a look at this as well. So that's all a bit nonsense. And also, nobody's going to be on 930. The odd one, maybe the odd one in the fostering association. I don't know. I didn't say that. But you're not going to get those money at all. Let's face it, even if they got £500 a week, that's £400 a week less than they're advertising.
Yes.
Okay. So, sorry about my dog. Be quiet. So here we are. Let me read these to you. And I know I haven't read these to you before, so I'd just like your reaction. Council tax reimbursement. And then in brackets with a star, subject to fostering activity and compliance.
What? What? What?
You're not going to get that council tax reimbursement. You wouldn't get it.
I wouldn't get it.
Subject to
The
fostering
compliance.
activity and compliance. So there's a long list of what you have to do to get that council tax reimbursement.
Wow. Wow. Do they do that on their contracts for as being social workers, blah blah? Do they
Mm.
get this?
Well, retention bonus.
Sorry, what does that
1,500,
mean?
1,000, I suppose,
Well, you're
staying.
still there.
You're still there after, but £1,500. So £500 a year. What is that? Is that £8 a week or something? I don't know. Something
Well, for
ridiculous,
still being there
For
after
still being there
graduation,
after
isn't it?
three, but you've got to be there for 3 years before you get that. And then guess what? In
Well,
in brackets with the star, it's subject to fostering activity and compliance.
and compliance. Blimey,
Then
O'Reilly.
a welcome bonus of £1,500. So they're paying you 1,500. They're trying to poach carers for £1,500 golden handshake. A jury's out on those things. I don't think people should be transferring for money, but especially to a council who's doing up to these sort of tricks. Then they go on about their birthday, festival, and holiday allowances. Everybody should get those. And,
Yes.
and do get those, and exactly the figures they've quoted, and in some places more. So, quite what they're on about there,
They're trying to remarket what they
what they
already
already
do.
should be doing or are doing.
That's great big
Um,
barrel, isn't it?
and then, hey, this is how they put this in as a perk. I don't know. Referral reward of £1,200 upon referring a friend.
But we want to keep our
That's not,
friends,
but
don't
that's
we?
not, it's not a perk though, is it? Work. It's
Friends.
this is so agenda driven. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Oh, how about this one? I wonder if you've ever got one of these. They exist already. A startup grant of £500.
Now, I've heard of those, I've heard of them. Never actually experienced one. It's where I mean they always say, oh, well, it's not for you. It's like a startup grant.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
to furnish a room, enable a child to come in. No such luck. And then they get told, oh, it's for people with newborns. And then I was
Yeah.
told by a foster carer who looks after newborns that they've got to go to car boot sales and second-hand shops to find the equipment.
Yep.
We're not allowed to buy stuff from car boot sales, and it has to
No.
be new. So it really is third world, isn't it? The whole
The whole
mentality.
thing I think as well is the things that upset me most was the way they spoke to this care experienced person
Yeah.
and also foster carers, in that sort of thank you so she wasn't feeding back, she was making a point, she was opening up discussion and everything, but she was sort of dismissed as just someone just making a bit of making a point. At no point did anybody genuinely say, do you know what, you could be right here, this maybe not be the right
Because
start
they
point.
none of
And
them ever
then somebody
will.
even
None of them
worse has
will.
written an article saying everybody's missing the point here. It's about, attracting care. No, it's not. It's not about attracting carers like that. Plus, somebody else wrote that, if we get carers just over the start line, if you like, what? By deception?
That's sickening. Deception,
Just
and
get
then
them
once
over.
they
And then
get there,
another
they
one
have
that
to be
said on
compliant.
this thread, oh, I'm hearing a lot of complaints, but I'm hearing no solutions. They are copious, the solutions.
Yeah.
They are everywhere. It just happens that the directors of children's services, are you listening, Croydon? And the managers choose not to listen to any of those solutions. They just listen to those that back up their own agenda, always.
And
And,
look, I mean,
it's
when you
notorious how
say,
that goes
Sarah,
on.
and I think it is important to be real here. When you say agenda, most of us think that that is something quite highbrow, some kind of, elaborate scheme, some kind of political kind of maneuvering. When we say their agendas, it can be an absolute nasty bitch face, nasty,
Mm.
horrible thing that is personal to them. When we say agendas, it might be their personal culture, their personal belief system. We
And in
overestimate
the sense
what
of
an
their own
agenda
personal
is.
frame of reference, what they think, or their personal opinion of what foster carers are. And let's face it, that narrative has been battered to hell. We're all thick idiots
Yes.
that just need to do, be quiet and be told what to do and be controlled. They try to control
Yeah.
you desperately because we're such a valuable commodity. It's time the foster carers bit back, I think. And I don't mean that in a
Yeah.
union sense or an act, but in the sense that let's grow some, confidence, morale, trust within our own workforce and start to say, no, no, you're sorry, you're not, because the other thing is with these people, the managers, the directors and everything, what they don't realize is that their jobs rely on us.
They would
You're only
not
a
be there
foster,
without
no,
us.
you're only a fostering manager because of us.
Yeah,
And
no.
I don't think there's enough respect for that. The words they say too, before we move straight on, are frankly in that Croydon quote post, hollow. So hollow. And also it's like rent a quote. I ought
Yeah,
to say when I put posts up like that, for local authorities reading this, here are your quotes.
yeah.
We value and respect all our foster carers. We're only thinking of them and the children. I mean, I could do it, but let's not do rent a quote. Let's we have got solutions. I've went a bit hard on Croydon, but frankly, it's needed because the narrative from that director of children's services and managers was ghastly. It's defensive. It didn't accept any responsibility or accountability. And Croydon, get your act together. Okay, shall we
Yeah.
move on?
Yes, let's look at that.
So, this week's focus is, why are we the most uncared for workforce? Why? So the last two podcasts, and it's raised a lot from the last two podcasts and the feedback we've had. The last two podcast episodes on mental health have honestly had some of the strongest feedback we've ever had. And that in itself tells you something, doesn't it? Because this isn't about people moaning or feeling sorry for themselves. It's really about basic fundamental standards that in almost any other workforce, you pointed out this earlier, would be taken for granted. In most professions, you've got HR, employee relations, safeguarding for staff, grievance processes, counselling, wellbeing support. That's all recognised these days. And those structures are designed to make sure that your workforce feels safe and supported and treated fairly while doing their job, or whatever you want to call it. That's the problem, isn't it? In
Yeah.
fostering, I think, it isn't, I don't know, it isn't simply, there's simply no consistent or meaningful way that they care or even acknowledge that carers have needs. And it's very, very inconsistent, sits within a system that doesn't recognise carers as people or even humans sometimes. It's a workforce without any rights. And I don't know, we're just expected to do the most extraordinary role and just get completely ignored. There's a bigger links here, I think, as well around equality and rights. It's been long-standing resistance, hasn't there, even in legal context, to recognise that foster carers having employment type protections because they have an employment type contract.
Yeah.
But it often gets to reduce to sort of, oh no, no child wants to live with a worker. But that entirely misses the reality
But they do in
of,
residential homes. They
well,
literally
and
go to them.
intentionally it misses the point, doesn't it? Because it's like, oh, you're even cruel for asking for, but sorry, newsflash, everything that we do already points to the fact that that is our rightful HMRC category. That's HMRC, not us. Go read it. Worker status. We are it already, and we don't go around telling children that we're their worker. It's just a really lame excuse, that one. So if you strip it back, what HR exists to do is nowhere near controversial. It's about safety, fairness, dignity, grievance processes when things go wrong. I don't know, mental health support, which we've been talking a lot about lately. And it's about human life and creating a culture that is inclusive for me. It doesn't leave people isolated when things get really hard. So I guess the question becomes, if fostering is this essential, and it is, it's crucial, it and it absolutely, why are the basic protections still missing here? Everyone else gets all these basic protections and wouldn't, and not only do we not get these protections, we get punished for even
Yeah.
raising them. So carers learn to stay quiet. We've been so overlooked in this area, and pushed back down. We're expected to just carry on quietly, manage alone, not be human, not say anything out loud. But the truth is, it's not just that support is lacking, it's a safe space to admit you need it as well. So, well, just last bit really, it's, that it stops becoming unfair at that point and it becomes a more serious concern. Because if we can't ask people to hold some of the most complex emotional parts of and demanding parts of our work, you know, how does that leave us with the children?
Exactly.
What do you look, you go,
Exactly. Well, I
Lex.
think I'm listening to you, and I want everyone just to sit with that for a minute and think about it. Think about all this. We are the most uncared for workforce that there is in a system built around care. For goodness sake. There's an irony there that would be funny if it wasn't so exhausting because fostering asks you to be everything. We're the parent, the therapist, the advocate, the crisis manager, the emotional anchor, and then quietly removes most of the structures that would support you in doing that. It's like being handed a parachute and then being told halfway down, we don't actually recognize parachutes as essential equipment. What fostering is like, isn't it?
It's a great analogy.
Oh, I like that.
I
Yeah.
really like that.
Thank you so much.
You're
Um,
welcome.
Oh, bless. And what carers are asking for isn't luxury, is it? It's basic to be supported, to be understood as a human being,
It's so basic.
not a robot, to not have to hide when things get hard. Now, what the absolute shocking parallel to how we are taught to work with children compared to how we are treated is shocking. We are so emotionally abused by this sector. Would not be allowed to treat children the way they treat us, but you have to look after your foster carers. We're the ones delivering the care, but they abuse us day in, day out. And then we all go, well, it could be worse. I don't want to say anything because they might decrease my 50p a week allowance
I'll
or
take the
whatever.
children away. That's what most people are scared of.
I know, because the
I mean, the
unspoken
amount of
policy.
emotional blackmail that goes along on is
Oh, I've had some. It's stopped lately because I'm
horrendous.
with Fostering UK, but previously I had the emotional blackmail. And as an ex care experience
Yeah.
person, my first reaction, and I have to hold myself back, was to punch them on the nose because
Mm.
that's not how you do things. So,
Not helpful. Louise, not helpful. No
oh,
punching.
I've had no, I had one social worker, no, two actually, that kept telling me my name. I
Oh,
put it in my books because it was hilarious. And she goes, Louise, Louise. And I go, I know my name. Like I was some naughty child. And I was like 10 years older than her. But, never mind. So we're expected to cope and cope very quietly. We don't want to cause
there
any
is all
bother.
that, isn't it? That just quietly get on with it. We don't want to hear you speak to you. We don't want you raising any issues. Just carry on quietly
It's the
in the corner
behavior
there.
of traditional misogyny on steroids, isn't it? When you look at the way that all carers are treated, men and women. And if you stop coping, you become a problem, don't you?
Mm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm deeply unimpressed with the way, if this were a business, you would be saying, how do we get the best outcomes for children? Oh, I know, let's really look after and invest in the people that do that work.
Uh,
Let's not drain
Absolute
the lifeblood out.
perfect point. Yeah, yeah.
You know, there you go. That's me
Ugh.
on that one. That's enough.
Well, let's look into it a bit
That's
deeper,
up.
and because also there was a huge feedback on your pieces on menopause and perimenopause.
Yeah.
So first of all, I'd like to play a recorded comment from a carer that we got after that, and I think it's very very pertinent. So we'll play that comment now, and then you can carry on after that. So here's the comment from a foster carer from the Southwest on the menopause.
I found the mention of menopause really interesting in the context of fostering. In my other previous employed roles, the subject of menopause is clearly identified in policies, specific training for managers and colleagues, with risk assessments, and has recognised reasonable adjustments which are regularly implemented without any stigma or judgment for that person. Beyond just wellbeing initiatives, menopause support is underpinned by legal protections relating to the Equality Act, health and safety, and by next year, larger companies are required by law to provide mandatory menopause action plans to all employees who are impacted. Given the demographic of foster carers, it does feel bizarre that support is expected to every other employee, but is utterly absent to us as foster carers. For me, it starts to feel emblematic of how we are not labelled as a worker, professional, or colleague. So we're just left in this forgotten space where our rights, needs, or just opportunities for support are overlooked. It also feels like another example, in one small way, in which we're not recognised, like the financial implications of working for decades as a foster carer, but having no pension, or the emotional implication of working 24/7 but having no right to a break or leave. And then the professional implications of needing to give up your other jobs when the child's needs demand it. We are so important and pivotal to the care of that child or young person, but then left entirely invisible to the network around us.
Well, that says it all, doesn't it?
Doesn't it
So,
just?
do you want to
Thanks
take
for
it
that.
away there?
Wow. Let's look at this, what this actually means in real life. This isn't unusual stuff, is it? Perimenopause and menopause. Any of our health issues, any of our mental health issues are not unusual. We didn't come into this going, oh, now we will remove every part of our being that might suggest we need any help. It's just life. This is all life stuff, except in fostering. Life doesn't pause the role, it just gets layered on top of, because we're not taking that seriously. This one has clearly struck a nerve, hasn't it? The menopause and the perimenopause. And if you think why, that's because, 80 to 85% of the workforce are perimenopause or menopausal women.
Mm,
Hello there, that's rather a large work
mm,
number in your workforce because menopause doesn't gently arrive and say, I'll just sit quietly while you continue to do your complex emotional labor. I'll just sit quietly here, being the quiet little menopause. It doesn't. No, it kicks the door in, steals your sleep, messes with your memory in your head, and occasionally replaces your personality with a slightly more direct version. Please ask my husband.
slightly more direct version
Yeah, so
of
when
that.
you're having those kitchen table meetings with supervising social workers or social workers in meetings,
It's
your,
slightly more direct.
your inner voice is going, oh, for goodness sake, just get to the point, will you? But you sit there smiling, going, well, you just
Mm,
can't get to the point. But it does. And yet, there's no real space to say, I'm not quite myself right now, is there? 'Cause
no,
you
no.
say, and I see it. I see women working in the banks, the ones that still do exist on the high street. And this woman was red faced and she was, wiping her face and she just looked up and said, I'm menopause. And I said, look, oh God, my darling, I am so on your side. I get you. But, we can't say there's 80 to 85% of us. We can't
Mm,
say, I'm really struggling with my menopause today. Oh God, I'm really hot. Oh no, I'm really cold. Oh
mm,
God, it doesn't, there's no space for it. But we're giving you a really complex child to look
yeah.
after. Any other
And
workforce?
that's about support. It's not about not giving the child. It's not about how, because let's face it, all the menopausal foster carers out there have children and are doing it. This is about the basic human decency to
Yes.
support them through it while they're doing it.
It's a
And it
business
also is
model.
more helpful for the child if you've got a happy, supported carer.
It should be the business model, isn't it? It should
Yeah.
be, here's your foster carer. Let us look and see where they're at in their life and how they are. Let's give them a child with full support that recognizes both their needs,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
household's needs and the child's needs.
Yeah.
Not just the child's needs,
Mm,
but the foster
mm,
carer's needs. Oh, but we can't have needs because that's really rude and annoying.
mm, mm,
And in the other workforce, this would all be acknowledged, wouldn't it?
mm.
Here, you still expected to function exactly the same in that robotic way. And there lies the problem, everything we go through as human beings somehow seems lesser as a foster care. Let's talk about bereavement,
Oh. Mm.
whether it's your dog, which was me this time last year when Dottie passed away, my fellow foster carer, my former
Yeah.
canine friend, or whether it's your husband, your wife, a child, a grandparent, a neighbor, a good friend. Where somehow it seemed frivolous of us to grieve. I know foster
Mm.
carers who, are trying to get to a funeral of a parent and then being told they can't go.
That's really common, sadly. And also, I had one recently who wanted just a little bit of help in support, daycare, even to get to see a parent who was on their last days. And you know what? She never got to his bedside, the father, and he died without her seeing him again. All
That's
because they would not,
disgusting.
they absolutely point blank refused that the children could go to the hospital. and point blank refused to help her with daycare.
That's
She's a
disgusting.
single carer, and
That's
she
disgusting.
didn't see her father. And he was compos mentis at the end as well. She didn't get there.
This is it, but you've just explained the level of sacrifice on 50p an hour or pound an hour we are meant to make for others, not just the children and young people who, on the whole, we don't mind, but we're doing this to keep others in their jobs, in their keeping their profits coming in. If you can't give someone that level of humility, who the hell are you? This would not happen in a traditional workplace. And it's that kind of thing about we are lesser, children from care are lesser, foster carers are lesser. And I can remember when my adopted father died, and a friend of mine's father died roughly at the same time, and she was flaying all over the place. And I was her department head at the time at the university, and I was giving her days off, weeks off, and she hadn't had a day off because my adoptive father's funeral landed on a convenient day that I wasn't due at work. And then when I said to her, "Do you think you need more support?" She said, "Oh, it's different from you for you because it was your adopted dad." And I
Oh.
think there's still that
Mm, mm,
mentality.
mm,
It's
mm,
a mentality that perhaps foster carers matter less because everything we do is not directly biologically linked. And I
mm,
wonder if in people's warped, in my opinion, as someone that was fostering a doctor's brain, that they feel they are more important because they are blood connected to their father, their child. So foster children matter less. So adopted children matter less. So foster carers matter less.
mm.
If that is significantly the case, then we have a real problem. on
Well, also, for any, so, I know we get an awful lot of people from the system, we get social workers listening. We've got just such an incredible array of people listening. And I'd like to say as well that it's just not sensible for retention or recruitment. If you treating carers with this kind of disposability, also keeping them in, under this kind of compliance. We
compliance.
don't even mind writing the word, do they? Compliance, actually written down. Keeping them like this is a real own goal because social media, like I say, I keep telling, runs the world. People are more vocal. Carers are going off, especially once they've left or been deregistered.
Yes.
Now, the impact that this is having on the system is evident to see everywhere. Nobody is recruiting.
No.
Nobody.
No.
Um, I mean, the regional recruitment hubs, God bless them. I mean,
Well, it's nice
they've
of
had
you to
more
say
millions
that.
thrown at them and just seem to be worse. The adverts seem to be getting worse. I just don't know. It's all cupcake sprinkles and very, very nubile young toddlers smiling at the sky with their, I just don't know what they're up to. It's just bemuses me. But they didn't even, that's the government recruitment thing, and they wouldn't even publish their figures about how many people they've recruited over the last 3 years for 80
Not a
odd
lot
million.
then.
No, no, it's
Nothing to
not something to
about.
shout about. So listen, if anyone's listening, these are the solutions. This is the way forward. This is how you create a fantastic fostering workforce.
Mm,
Speak to us. We'll show you the way because it is not working right now. It just
mm.
isn't. All this treatment of carers, all this, it's just not working.
No, it's not. And but fostering expects us, you all expect us to keep holding others, to keep going for others, while our own emotional ground has shifted. Why sometimes our lives are falling apart. If someone in your world gets cancer, you do have to stop what you do and pay attention. But you are worried about the children, you are worried about everything, and you are not supported. Where else does this happen? Let's talk about illness. Excuse me, I might have an illness, just coughing there. Most people get sick. Of course they do. And most people get sick. And what do we tell them to do? Go and rest. Not a chance in hell as a foster carer. Rest? Are you kidding me? What would that even look like? We just are kind of expected to push through like these stoic robots that they seem to
Mm.
think we are. And then every time you don't rest, our own immune system weakens, our nervous systems play up. We have this, all this work that we do is about all of our nervous systems. Start there. And when you're messing with foster carers' heads, families, and integrity, you are disrupting their nervous systems like you wouldn't believe. An example, attending a review after a sickness bug, and then there's, and that's not resilience. I have sat in a meeting with another foster carer who was very ill, and she sat there in her dressing gown with a box of tissues because she was too scared not to turn up to the meeting. And I said, "Why are you here?" Her manager was sitting there, all these other faces, people she didn't even know, to talk about this child. She was sniveling in her dressing gown. And I was disgusted that she was expected to do that, that she felt. And I don't want to be in a professionals meeting with someone in a dressing gown.
I mean, it's just we had a quote from a carer who wrote in and said, recently the whole household had a vomiting bug, which
Mm,
most people would get time off work from. We
yes.
still had to attend our annual review after being up till the early hours. I also coped with two
Mm,
emotional emergencies before the meeting, and I got rebuked in the meeting for looking to my supervising social worker for a bit of empathy. She had said apparently that's not her role.
wow.
Yeah, it's a
Well, they
shame, isn't
are
it?
just summed it up then, haven't
Yeah, and it
they?
just, the thing is, well, the
It's
other thing
shocking.
about all of this is um, ignoring ignoring it all doesn't make it go away because we're human beings. It all just continues to exist and contributes to the loss, the retention issues and the recruitment issues and outcomes for children. Because if you're not, like we said, if you're not caring for those that care, then you're getting a substandard version of care. And
Yeah.
also, the other thing is about this, I'll go on here to say a few more things about this. What we've got to understand, this is every day, and children can't be in this gilded cage where nothing happens or you ignore it all, and then the slightest human touch of normalness gets whipped away. What that does to their attachment,
Yes.
their trauma, it's unbelievable. Children
Yes.
can, if they've got a secure base, they can cope with somebody not being terribly well, but know that. But imagine feeling that that person's got ill and then they get taken away. That's even worse because then they'll feel rejected, or that then they. And the other thing they do, and I've heard this from other care experiences, worry about they're not allowed to be in contact again, but yet worry about how that person is. They might have been with them for 6 or 7 years. So we get this a lot in
Yes.
cancer. So cancer is very sort of curable these days. It's you can last for many years. It's not the death sentence it was once, but the minute carers mention that their other half has cancer or something, all hell lets loose. Um, and
Yes.
also, so not only does somebody have cancer, which is they're having a bit of treatment for, but then they're already scared because cancer frightens everybody. Not only that, they then
Yes.
get the worry of the children being taken away. And let's not forget, we have spoken about money today, but let's not forget 64% of carers, it is their main role. So they're giving up everything else to foster. So the money does matter. It is important. So they're scared that the kids will get taken away and then they're plunged into destitution. And well, when they've got cancer. Men's health. Let's talk about a little bit about that because there are a lot of men that foster, and also it's traditional with men, especially as the most of them are the backup carer, not paid, not taken any notice of at all, not really supported in any meaningful way. I mean, we're not supported in any. The men are even worse. They are then buys into this culture of if you're a man, don't say anything, don't show your emotions, don't show that you're
Oh,
unwell,
it's
don't show,
dreadful.
so
It's
it goes into that
dreadful.
whole issue of men's health, and men's health is very important, and we need to they need to be included, just like the birth children, as a really important part of the whole package. Would you agree with that?
I think men's health is absolutely essential because, we spend our time telling them to go to the doctors if they can get a doctor's
Yes. Yeah.
appointment, of course.
Yeah.
But, it's about, but I must say that they're not too afraid of actually having a cold, are they? But when they let us know that they got a cold.
Just some important things they're bad
Yeah,
at.
it does
Yeah.
but we do have to, and that's not good because again, they don't want to be a burden. They don't want to scare the horses. We
Mm.
spend our lives holding all this very quietly because we know we're not going to get the support because we are disposable. If we're like an old racehorse, so there comes a time when we're not any good anymore. We're literally the equivalent of being shot. We got rid of, and they can do that very disgracefully and dismantle you and
Well,
your
you're full of the
family.
analogies today, aren't we?
Well, I've been doing a lot of
We're
writing
getting
lately.
shot now.
Yeah, we're getting shot. Put me out of my misery. Oh, I know. I also want to talk to you, Sarah, about excuse me, about neurodiversity.
Yeah. I think we got a quote, didn't we, this week?
Did we get a quote? Can you find a quote?
I'll just start with the quote and then you can continue. This was from Care Up North. I told my supervising social worker I couldn't cognitively do the new weekly log format. This is somebody who's ADHD. And she said the expectation was to write and with what's not a label, what's the word when you've got a diagnosis of ADHD. And the social worker knew about it. I told my supervising social worker I couldn't cognitively do the new weekly log format. The expectation was to write it in a different tense. I was transparent about my neurodiversity. I was told, you will have to do it. You don't have a choice. Can you imagine them telling a blind person they got no chance but to see? Eventually, they did turn around months later, but to be frank, the damage was already done.
They break up the diversity, the Diversity Act is there for a reason, isn't it? And this one really matters, Sarah, and our listeners, about neurodiversity, because neurodiversity isn't a weakness in fostering, it's often our strength. Many
Yeah.
neurodivergent carers bring deep empathy, creativity, emotional attunement, a real understanding of what it feels like not to fit in, which is exactly what many children in care need. They need that level of compassion. And if we're honest, there are probably more neurodivergent social workers out there too than we're prepared to admit. And I've sat opposite some and been with some and thought, yeah, you've definitely got ADHD. Yeah, you've got, they're probably not being heard either. They're being misunderstood as well. So you've got this kind of soup of people not recognizing that the fact that most people are actually now neurodiverse and probably always were thus, but it was never labeled. So what we have is a system full of neurodiverse people trying to function as if they are not. That is foster care, isn't it? And then wondering why everyone gets exhausted because I'm dyslexic and technology scrambles my head. We're constantly learning new systems, egress portals, platforms,
Oh, don't
different
even.
counties. You have like we do. We have
It's a
children from different
nightmare.
counties doing it all differently. Different systems. Schools have another system. Training, they have different systems because they're commissioning different training companies to do training. Some have animation, some have dense online text heavy information, which fries my brain. Sometimes our computers aren't compliant, Macs don't comply with what they're doing. You can
Yeah.
spend hours of your day getting more and more stressed. This is neurodiversity. It's like juggling 10 languages while someone says it's quite simple. So going
Mm,
back to what the quote said, how are you to tell me what is simple and complicated?
mm.
I know myself because I'm struggling and I'm an adult. So every time I go on charms, which I get Lloyd to do, or I
Mm.
do something else, my brain literally scrambles. All of that
Does
effort,
Charms not have reasonable adjustments?
I don't know because I get Lloyd to do it because he's my reasonable
Okay.
adjustment.
Mm. It's interesting. I'd quite like to speak to Charms about that, see if they have,
I
the age
find, I mean,
adjustment.
I'm dyslexic, and and not only this, not only me dealing with all this stuff, all the stuff, the egress or whatever, which keeps changing every time I look at it. We're also dealing with all our other work stuff. Your
Mm,
drop boxes, your this and that, and many neurodiverse people are happier out in the garden, or I tell you where they are happy, working with the children that they're in their
yeah,
care.
yeah.
Funny that, isn't it?
I
So
think I'd like to just put in there as well that we are of a certain age, foster carers. And sadly, because we'd love to attract new, younger ones, but it's just not happening at the moment. That most carers of the certain age will not have had ADHD referrals or
exactly.
prognosis because they never went to the. It was never a thing, and if you said it, people would have laughed at you. Many of us are, in fact, and can identify themselves as
Yes.
ADHD now, but they will still probably wouldn't say anything. And the other thing I'd like to say is that um, care roles attract those people with ADHD. It's a natural space for them. So, whereas most of the country is like a 25-30% incident of ADHD, can you imagine, as you're saying, absolutely saying, the amount of people, carers with ADHD must be much, much higher.
Huge. And of course, you can see it, which is why, again, providers. I say this as an ex-teacher who, I taught for over 20 years in the university, and my main role was curriculum design and pedagogy. I'm very interested in how people teach and how people learn. And, one of the biggest tricks you're missing is the assumption that everybody is sitting there learning like you would learn. We don't. So the death by PowerPoint, the online training, because it's convenient and cheap, because that ticks a box, doesn't actually mean anyone's learning anything. We're not enriched learners. We go and tick a box, and people say, oh, I'd rather do it online because it's over and done with in an hour or two. What have you learnt? Unless we're really honest about these things, the quality and enrichment of the delivery of our care will never be what it should be. So going back to
That's why, just
neurodiversity,
putting a little thing in there, that's why, we have the National Foster Carers qualifications,
yeah,
which are accompanied by mentors and accompanied by groups for
yes, because
reflection and, theory to
yes,
practice.
you got to
They
keep
are online because that
learning.
does suit a lot of carers these days, but oh my goodness, the quality that are the online trainings and things,
We've got to aim for
absolutely
quality.
dire.
Because
Quality, yeah.
foster carers, because neurodiversity is such a thing, you learn behaviors if you
Mm.
and that is trying to avoid stuff. And we can't avoid, none of us can avoid what is crucial to our learning and education about looking after these incredibly complex children and young people and ourselves. So we're all in this sort of weird avoidance where, people
Or
can be
overwhelm. Isn't it interesting how it's actually this, if you've got ADHD, it tends to be the system that overwhelms you, not the children.
totally, totally. Isn't that
Mm,
interesting?
mm,
So why isn't anyone paying attention to this? Where's your
mm.
business models? What about the
Yeah,
outcome?
I agree. And also, I think we'll end with this as well, because I'm really, really keen here to say, yes, we're giving it all a bit of a battering, but actually we're only speaking truth to power. And that if we don't fix these things, we just won't have any foster carers left. And all those listening who rely on foster carers for their roles and their jobs and everything, it doesn't make any sense not to be supporting and caring for your carers. There was a quote given to me, and I think, ending on this, sadly, I would never agree to helping with recruitment events, as I could not stand there and lie to prospective new carers. In fact, I would probably put them off ever wanting to foster, not because of the children, but due to the lack of care and support for what we do, the lack of empathy and understanding and ability to support us when times are hard.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here, here. And this is where it all connects, isn't it? Because when people feel unsupported, they don't just struggle, they withdraw. They stop recommending, they stop advocating, they stop believing, and that's a real risk. But you see, I think it's not even a risk anymore. That's become the norm. The norm is that we have stopped recommending, we have stopped advocating, we have stopped believing. Not just losing carers, but I think we've lost a lot of trust, and I still can't understand. I genuinely cannot understand why providers aren't falling over themselves to talk to us and to other foster carers who know how all this works, but there's some weird part of their brain that will not let them demean themselves, to reduce themselves to talk to those stupid foster carers, but they want to carry on patronizing,
Mm,
like the Croydon
mm,
vibe, stop it, stop it. Your
mm.
answers are here. We're speaking on behalf of foster carers, and my goodness, there are so many listening now, so we must be speaking right about what we're
Yeah,
experiencing.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, and I think that's right. The Croydon thing said it all again for me, and especially when they said somebody said, "Oh well, I hear a lot of you complaining, but don't see any solutions." That's because you don't see them because they're not seen, they're not heard, they're not listened to. We have solutions. Actually, I will just say it is really encouraging that some of the biggest agencies in the country, no local authorities yet, I sit in those local authority meetings talking to them about our peer support models, and I get treated like, I want to swear here, SHIT, like I'm just a foster carer to sit in the background being quiet. And do you know what? Every single local authority says, we're marvellous, it must be somebody else. And
Yeah.
I know for a fact they're not. But
Denial.
agencies, thank you, those agencies out there who are turning to us for our Starling models, Foster Wiki support, peer support, because I'm not just here flogging something, because like foster care, we haven't started this for the money, but because this is a missing link, this independent peer support, and we know how marvelously helpful it can be in a really collaborative way with agencies and local authorities, and how we can bring in that compassion, that compare, and that safe space, and that help, and that empathy and understanding, because we walked 1,000 miles in foster carers' shoes. So it's all out there. It's all out there. We just
And,
need to be heard.
and it's
And
interesting that you mentioned that it's the independent
yes,
providers who are seeing this, and they
yeah,
are paying more. You see, and I think it's as simple. The local authorities will continue to get their funding, whatever.
yes.
The independent
It's a
provider
business model.
is a business model
Mm,
because they can't rely on government funding
mm,
the same way as local authorities,
mm.
more agile. So it tells you a lot, doesn't it? It
Yes, it
tells you a huge
does.
amount about who's seeing whether
Well, and who the villains are, because the local authorities sit there and go, oh, well, it's because we're paying out so much for private agencies, and everybody goes on to the press and they say, oh, it's
oh, that's
private equity
so done
crucifying
that
foster care.
conversation.
Well, hello, let's go back a step and see why they were needed in the first place.
Yes, I agree.
Looking at the wrong villains very often.
Yeah, I agree totally. And yeah, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, thank you,
That was a
everybody.
good
Great
one.
conversation, that one. And please send in your feedback because we love all the feedback we're getting. And yeah, and send it in, if there are things you really want to talk about or hear on the podcast, for issues for us to raise, please send those in as well.
And are we already thinking, Sarah, that next week we're going to talk about sibling groups?
Yes, we can have a word about siblings. We've got loads. I mean, we haven't talked about birth families, birth children, but we've got a lot of things to be talking about.
Yeah, it
But yes,
affects
there's
all
been a
of us.
new law come out about siblings, and we're going to have a look at that next week, amongst a lot of other things. So please tune in next week. Thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful week, everybody, and see you next week.
Yeah, goodbye. Lots of love to you all. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.